the site staff who are already logging into 30 different tools, they can accomplish all of this from one login, essentially. And it also has a patient portal where from enrollment, screening through study completion, patients have just one place to go for all study-related activities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Param Singh. I'm the director of the Clinical Operations Solution Practice here at Perficient Life Sciences. I want to welcome everyone to today's discussion on our new partnership with Jeeva Informatics. And this discussion is a way for us to introduce the new offering and solution, as well as the partnership to all of you today. I'm very excited to have with me today Harsha Rajasimha, founder and CEO of Jeeva Informatics. Harsha, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really looking forward to today's discussion. And first, I would love for you to introduce yourself to everyone joining us today.
Thank you so much, Param. It's a pleasure to be here, and we are so thrilled to be partnering with Perficient. First of all, my background is in computer science engineering, and specialized in computational biology, bioinformatics, and precision medicine over the last 22 years. I'm based out of the Northern Virginia, DC metro area, and my experience has spanned National Institutes of Health, FDA. I also wear a patient advocate hat, and having founded the Indo-US Organization for Rare Diseases, and bring technology innovation through the startup Jeeva Informatics Solutions that I'll be talking about today.
Great. Thank you, Harsha. Again, I'm really glad to have you with us here today. And then for those who, joining us today that have not seen our recent posts and announcements, Perficient and Jeeva have entered into a new partnership to bring the power of the Jeeva platform and solutions to streamline and support decentralized or hybrid trials for our customers. And as we all know and have seen, decentralized trials has been an area of focus for several years now. But really, due to the recent pandemic, this has accelerated the opportunities and the evolution of decentralized trials, and really has forced organizations to look to, overcome certain challenges and gaps in their current systems and processes to support decentralized trials. So, Harsha, before we get into the solution itself, can you speak to some of the specific industry challenges that you've seen and have worked to try to and address with your platform?
Absolutely, Param. When we started back in 2018, early 2019, we started with customer discovery, understanding what are the key bottlenecks and barriers to accelerating clinical trials. What intrigued me as a healthcare life science consultant is the biopharmaceutical process of bringing new innovative therapies to market had been deteriorating in terms of efficiency, costing over $2.5 billion per successful drug, and taking 10 to 12 years to get one successful therapy through the regulatory process. And that's because clinical trials are long, complex, and have significant workflow and human inefficiencies built into the process. And it's a highly regulated market as well, as we know. And so what we did is we have interviewed over couple thousand stakeholders of clinical trials, with sponsors, CROs, sites, key opinion leaders, regulators, patients themselves who have participated in trials, caregivers, in asking what are the barriers? Why does it take so long? What's the good, bad, and ugly of clinical trial operations, and so on. So what became really clear are, one, obviously patient recruitment is the gorilla in the room of clinical trials, continues to be a significant burden. About 85% of all clinical trials are delayed by 30 days or longer due to delays in patient recruitment. And 30% of all clinical trials terminate because of poor enrollment. So recruitment was the number one thing that stands out. The next was patient retention. Once they are enrolled, about 30% of patients on an average drop out during the course of a clinical trial across all therapeutic areas and all phases of trials. On an average. And so 30% is a significant dropout rate in clinical trials. So that's got to do with patient experience, patient satisfaction, how patients are being treated and engaged as partners in the process of clinical trials. And then incomplete data quality is paramount in clinical trials, and having proper tools to enable data capture and ability to do all of this in an efficient way, but also flexible way. As the pandemic showed, as we were going through the customer discovery, the pandemic came, and then it really became important that clinical trial operators consider the continuity and integrity of trials in situations like the pandemic, where patients do not want to walk into a clinical trial site in person and expose themselves to infections. So how to safely and securely continue the clinical trial operations even during pandemic and other similar situations. Those were really key things that were keeping our customers up at night. And those are the key challenges that we have been looking to address with technology innovation as well as advocacy.
Yeah, and in our experience, we've been helping and supporting and advising the life science industry globally, and we've seen our own clients, experience these challenges even before the pandemic, and help support them and evaluate solutions and processes that will help them overcome these challenges. Which is, one of the main reasons, for this partnership, as we strongly believe that, Jeeva will help bring key benefits to organizations in this area. So Harsha, I recognize that the audience today may not know much about the Jeeva platform and the set of solutions to address the challenges that you just mentioned. So I want to ask if you could provide a short overview on what Jeeva can do for our customers.
Absolutely, Param. We have the unique position of having custom developed or developed from scratch in the last 2-3 years on modern technology stack, a solution that essentially helps with a single login, the ability to configure a study within 2 to 4 weeks instead of 90 days, which was typical in the industry to configure a clinical trial protocol in a EDC system and a decentralized platform, with the ability to do remote patient screening, which significantly enhances the patient recruitment scope from being restricted to, the clinical trial sites physically to online, which, historically about 1 to 2% of cancer patients participate in a clinical trial, which is really low compared to the kind of investments that go into oncology as a disease area, for example. Whereas with online patient recruitment that the Jeeva's solution enables, we can now reach out to patients who are medically underserved in rural areas, hard to reach geographies, the whole diversity, equity, inclusion. So, and speeding up the patient enrollment process itself by uh, enabling online screening of patients. So that's the key thing through telemedicine, video calling, email, SMS, and multi-channel online communication features, which are all built into the Jeeva platform. Ability to, then enroll patients through remote informed consent and obtaining electronic signatures in a compliant manner. And then having the ability to collect patient-reported data as well as clinical assessments on the Jeeva platform, as well as conducting follow-up visits, reducing the patient burden and the study staff burden in the process of doing follow-up visits and evidence generation. So ability to do all of this from a single login in a flexible cloud-hosted manner, so the customers don't have to worry about the vendor compliance, data compliance, security, FDA 21 CFR Part 11, and all that. It's all managed on the cloud by the Jeeva team. So it's a platform offering, and the site staff who are already logging into 30 different tools, they can accomplish all of this from one login, essentially. And it also has a patient portal where from enrollment, screening through study completion, patients have just one place to go for all study related activities and be able to share data, communicate with the site staff, ask any questions before, during, and after enrollment. So that's the Jeeva solution.
Yeah, and it's great to be able to provide an overview of the platform and solution. But from my experience, I know that once folks see the platform firsthand, they will quickly recognize the potential from the current modules, as well as from what Jeeva has planned for future modules as well, and how it can be fully integrated in the clinical IT landscape of their current systems as well. I want to speak, from a global independent consultancy. Perficient works with many software vendors that provide solutions to our clients, and as the industry has leaned into decentralized and hybrid trials, we've seen software providers try to, in essence, adapt their current solutions to support decentralized trials. But what makes us extremely excited about this partnership is that, Jeeva has built all of this from the ground up to support companies in their journey, rather than retrofitting a solution, which is what we've seen, from some of the other vendors. And this has been our observation as we independently, evaluate solutions for our clients. So, Harsha, can you provide some detail around how Jeeva Trials is unique, and some key differentiators that set it apart from some of these other solutions and platforms?
Yes, absolutely, Param. And I'd like to thank the Perficient team for having done the due diligence and vetted our platform over several months. And going through the process was very enriching for us. And we are very honored to be partnering with you and your team. From a unique differentiator point of view, like one you just pointed out, that it was completely built from the ground up in the last 2-3 years on the modern Amazon Web Services technology stack, and built specifically to address the customer challenges that we heard firsthand from a couple thousand stakeholders from various different perspectives. So it's not just the sponsor, the site users, the CROs, and patients are all ultimately the end users of this platform. So having a single login to manage the entire clinical operations in one place, that's one significant differentiator, instead of having that piecemeal a la carte tool-based approach. The second is that it's modular, which means not every clinical trial needs all the features and all the modules for a given trial protocol. And we all know that every clinical trial protocol is so unique and different. And so the platform is highly configurable and flexible and modular. That makes it easy to pick and choose. A particular sponsor may only be looking for a remote informed consent as a service offering. We can do that. Or if we need the whole end-to-end suite with e-consent, e-pro, e-COA, e-visits, EDC, query capability, and the whole end-to-end aspect, we can stand that up as well. And without requiring any programming or customization, it's just a configuration without requiring any programming. So that's the other differentiator. And then third is a critical part of this is bring your own device, right? So it's a BYOD model where there is no specific hardware requirement on any users. So all users can log into the platform from their own browser-based device, whether it's a smartphone, tablet, PC, laptop, of any operating system, as long as they have a browser on the device. And the screens, it doesn't matter what the screen size is. The application adapts automatically to the screen size. And lastly, technical support and providing training and professional services to go with the platform, and maintaining all that compliance, annual penetration testing, annual audits. All of that is managed by Jeeva, so our customers can have that confidence that they are on a safe ground.
That's great. And I know, again, once we get into detailed demos of the solution, people are going to be able to see some of these key differentiators that set it apart for themselves. And Harsha, another aspect that you kind of touched on a little bit, of decentralized trials and what Jeeva supports, that interests me and my team, is that in traditional site-centric models of clinical trials, we have seen a lack of diversity in clinical trials, where typically randomized control clinical trials have been historically successful in enrolling Caucasian adult male participants as opposed to other demographics. So with decentralized trials, I see there's a key opportunity here, both from an access to treatment perspective in underrepresented communities and geographies, as well as ensuring that the data set and the results are not skewed towards one particular demographic. So, can you speak to how Jeeva can help to address diversity, equity, and inclusion in trials?
Absolutely, Param. You bring up a great point. If you look at clinicaltrials.gov and look at all the clinical trials currently ongoing, more than 320,000 clinical trials in the database, And if you click on the map view, and you will see a global map with red red portions mapped on the United States and European Union, the Western world, where 80% or more of clinical trials happen. And the remaining 20% of trials happen in the rest of the world. And as we know, the population focused within US, Europe is less than 10% of the world's population, on which most of the clinical trials are run. And so scientifically, safety, efficacy, all of those data are based on majority of the patients being in the US and Europe, whereas as we saw with the COVID-19 pandemic, the vaccines were distributed globally for all patients in Africa, Asia, Latin America, etc. And they are not all engaged at the same level or at the proportional level to their population size during the clinical trial process. So that's something that I have been focused on for many years, and I believe it takes a combination of technology innovation and advocacy at a cross-border international level. Now, from a technology innovation point of view, to really scale diversity on a global scale, so there is geographic diversity, race, ethnicity, gender diversity, age diversity. So there are multiple factors that we look at when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Even within the United States, there are underserved medical populations, and there are also rural, mountain, and hard to reach geographies, and also the ethnic minorities, right? So ability to be able to meet the patients where they are, from the comfort of where they are, is very critical. So going from being restricted to like 1 or 2% of the patients who ever have hear about a clinical trial opportunity to enroll in academic medical centers and large metro cities like the Boston, Bay Area, Houston, Chicago, and Bethesda, having the ability to go online on a bring your own device from any person having access to the internet. In the US, that's about 82% of Americans have access to internet. Still not 100%, but way better than 1 or 2% of people who accidentally hear about it happen to be living in the right zip codes. And that's what we are looking at, is really taking the offline clinical trials online with a very flexible, nimble, modular platform, which is device agnostic.
Yeah, and for me, that is really an exciting area, and I know that we're going to be able to see some real tangible benefits from that in the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that hybrid and decentralized trials will allow. So as you can tell, we're very excited about this partnership, and to give everyone a bit more insight into the partnership. This partnership essentially formalized to allow us to take advantage of the key strengths of each company and their resources. So with Jeeva's expertise in this space, we'll continue to focus on delivering on that product value. Harsha and his team have already developed and delivered several modularized solutions and are continuing to add modules to that. So this partnership is going to allow their team to continue to enhance the product, to ensure that the platform is scaling with the needs of the customers and continuing to deliver that additional value. And then at Perficient, specifically the life sciences team, with the depth and breadth of the knowledge in implementing solutions like these in our regulated industry, where we have partnered with over 150 life science companies worldwide to help people feel better and live longer. Our expertise in providing implementation and integration services, identifying industry best practices, advisory, system validation, and support are going to be the key drivers in ensuring our customer success with this solution as well. So that's really what we've laid out in the partnership, where Jeeva and Perficient will work seamlessly as one team to deliver and help sustain value for our customers. And I know today we've only scratched the surface of what Jeeva can do. And I look forward to more opportunities to share details with Harsha around the capabilities of the solution and how it can be used to effectively conduct and manage remote trials with globally available cloud platform, have faster enrollment across diverse demographics, accelerating trial timelines and improving outcomes, and really designing studies that fit in your patients' lives and truly adopt a patient-centric approach to clinical trials. So Harsha, I really want to thank you for being with us today and help give an overview and introduction to the solution and this partnership. Our team is extremely excited to work alongside yours in serving our customers. And I also want to thank everyone that joined Harsha and me today for this introductory session. And if you'd like to learn more about Jeeva and have a much more detailed conversation about the solution, please reach out to us, and we'd be happy to schedule a demo and a discussion. So thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Param, for having me. I think this is a very exciting time in the decentralized trials adoption curve. I think it's still early days, though, and we are very excited to have a strong global partner like Perficient that we can work with in helping our customers really scale this and take this innovation globally.
Great. Thank you so much.
You too.